To begin with, I want to tell you a story. This story happened when I was a very young child, probably about 3 or 4, maybe even a bit younger. At the time, I used to fall out of my body and into the ceiling every single night. It was quite scary for me, but I knew it was going to happen. I would hold on to the sheets really tight. Sometimes I would wrap my arm around one of the sheets so that I wouldn't fall off the bed and into the ceiling. But invariably I would, and I'd end up on the ceiling looking down at myself. One day I decided to start exploring, so I floated off and I would make sure I wouldn't float too far away from the house. And then another time, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I found myself walking through a road. It looked like a country road, and I could see in the fields there was lots of different people and situations happening. It was quite interesting, but a lot of it was the same type of things that were happening in our daily life, so mostly I just ignored it. I travelled, and then the next day it wasn't so scary to fall out of my bed and into the ceiling, or at least not as boring, because I decided to start exploring further and further away from my house. Then one day, this man looks at me, which was pretty strange because I found that most people in that dimension didn't even notice that I was there. It felt like they were all sleepwalking, not even aware of themselves or the activities they were carrying on with. But this man, he looked right at me and he told me that I shouldn't be there by myself, that it was a dangerous place, and that I had to get back into my body right away. I said okay, and I went back into my body, and I woke up. Well, the next night, the same thing happened again. And I got out, and I started exploring, and the man appears. And he's like, I told you not to come out here. You have to get back into your body right away. So I said, okay, and I ran back to my body, but I was hiding. And then he went away, and I carried on exploring. The next day, he was waiting for me just as I was coming out of my body. And he said, I told you not to come here. You have to get back into your body. This is not a good place for children. I looked at him, and I kind of ignored him and carried on. And at that point, he just laughed. And he says, okay, seeing as you're going to stay, then at least let me teach you what is going on here. After that, he pretty much took me under his wing and told me things like, this is the astral plane, and all sorts of things. He showed me different worlds. We even travelled around the planet and were able to look through windows into different countries and things. Then, when I was older, I was like 6 years old, so this carried on for quite a few years. In fact, it carried on until I was 12. But when I was 6 years old, my granddad died. When I asked my mom, where did Grandpa go because they said he'd left, she said, Grandpa's gone to heaven. My grandma laughed and she said, oh, no, he did not go to heaven. He went straight to hell. Anyway, from my perspective as a 6-year-old, I didn't get a straight answer. When I travelled into the astral, I asked my teacher there, where's heaven? And where's hell? And he says, oh, I'll show you. So we started walking together and we came upon this field. And he showed me the field and he said, this is the valley of death. And he had kind of mountains on the sides. And I noticed that there were holes on the ground. And he says, okay, I'm going to take you to heaven. So we walked through this field and we came up on a hall. And he says, that's heaven in there. So I looked inside and there was lots and lots of people. And there was clouds and angels, a big throne with an old man. And I recognized that there was Jesus there too, next to the old man. This, he said, is the Catholic heaven. And this, over here, he said, pointing at another hall right next to it, is the Catholic hell. And I started getting close to it and I could hear screaming and horrible sounds from inside it. And then when I looked inside, there was this most horrible smell. And there was people burning alive and being tortured by demons. It was horrible. Why would anybody go there? I said. Well, he said, it's because they think they have to. And they're going to be staying there forever, or until they think they don't have to anymore. Why would they do that? I said. Why don't they just come out? They think they can't. Or that they don't deserve to. But actually, it is their choice. But after they've been there forever, or maybe a few decades, some of them do come out. And they pop into this other one, heaven. And I said, wow, they can stay there forever? And he says, well, they think it's forever, but actually, it's only a few seconds. Then he carried on, and he showed me different heavens from different cultures and religions.